Yo, what's up guys, it's Talon, and today we're going to be showing you an early game that is pretty much the most impactful that you could possibly be on support. We're kind of going to talk about how you can have that impact. To be clear, you're not going to be able to do this every game. It's going to be specific scenarios where you'll see opportunities to roam and make plays across the map, and we're kind of going to talk about why I was able to do that. But starting off with the lane phase, you're going to see the lane phase doesn't go the best at the start, but basically the main purpose of our comp in this lane is to find an all-in. Usually you're looking to decide if you have better all-in or better poke. In this case, Vayne and Senna, obviously an additional range champion, they have better poke, but we have better all-in because we just have more damage as a Thresh and with our Ignite, so we're going to look for a play like that to blow Senna flash early. So the lane doesn't go like super bad or anything. We do end up blowing her flash. She ends up healing eventually. You saw I ignited so that she couldn't heal because it provides anti-heal. So you have to use your Ignite well when you're looking for all-ins like that. And because we used the Ignite, she wasn't able to just heal and run away. She had to flash instead. And blowing an early flash, obviously can be very useful in case your jungler looks for a gank. But this is where you see it goes, a lot more poor. Because I end up positioning against a wall when I really shouldn't have. I should have played more towards the kind of middle part of the map / the left side. So my positioning in the lane wasn't ideal there. But the main thing we want to do now is just try to find a recall at some point. Though you're going to see in a little bit, the Lee Sin's going to contest Scuttle, so we do decide we have to kind of rotate and just fish for a hook there. But basically all we're doing here is we're just fishing for hooks. Like since we find some poke on the Senna, since she doesn't position super well, we're able to once again kind of make the lane, make it not as bad, and we give our Vi an opportunity to gank if the Lee Sin wasn't pathing towards us. But instead we notice that our Vi is going to contest the Scuttle. So I decide I want to try to move in here, but seeing Lee Sin, of course, we realize it's too dangerous, so I go around instead. And we're pretty much just like looking for a hook here. Again, I'm not the biggest fan of this type of contest, but if we are going to contest, we'll try to look for a pick around someone. So we do find the Lee Sin, get him really low, then flash out after we get all of our damage off, which allows for our teammate to eventually find a kill onto the Vayne through that whole little skirmish. So that hook kind of started off the skirmish pretty well, and our team has a good level of CC to follow up. But comp like Twisted Fate, Thresh, and Vi plus Jhin is like insanely good for finding picks. You can find a bunch of picks with them because you all have kind of single target CC. But then here's where we start looking for, or we start having really big impact. So if you look here, Lee Sin and Vi pathed towards top side. If you know anything about jungle timers, you know that if you path towards one side of the map, you're going to go back to the side you started on around 2 minutes and 30 seconds because that's when your camps are going to start respawning. And so I know that both my Vi and the enemy jungler are going to look for bottom side. I also know that Jhin is really good at 1v2s because he has good wave clear, decently long range, and he's just overall a pretty safe champion with his traps and whatnot. And then Vayne and Senna are not the best at 1v2ing because they don't have anything super, they're not super tanky, so they can't dive. They don't have great all-in. They have okay poke, so they're not awful at 1v2ing, but they're not great at it. And so with those two things in mind, alongside the fact that my Fiora has a giant wave stacked against the Riven, means that I want to go there. And so we end up telling her, like, we're coming. She ends up keeping this huge wave that we see stacked, which gives us a very good opportunity to dive. And we know that with an extra number, there's no way we're going to lose this. She's up a level. We have Vi here. And Lee Sin is definitely going to contest. We're very conscious of that. But obviously, he's not going to always be there right away. And so we end up making a really good play, crashing a huge wave on a top laner who does not have teleport because their Riven had took Ignite like a normal Riven would. And then Lee Sin can't do anything. He can't go into 74 minions plus 3 people. He just goes and kicks us for no reason. And we're able to get like a million turret plates here. And I'm even trying to stay around to see if we can get the entire turret because we do have a lot of time and I have my Demolish. I kind of tell Vi, like, ideally we kind of have Vi back off here and we just play for the turret, but, I guess it actually worked out pretty well. And we find the hook on him. Lee Sin finds the Q out, but again, not a bad situation for us at all. And so you can see it's a pretty messy situation because we have the numbers advantage. We made a really good roam here. Fiora is able to get a lot done. Now, unfortunately, Fiora did recall. Ideally, if she didn't recall, it wouldn't be as, it would be slightly better, is what I'm trying to say. Either way, it works out super well. We find a bunch of impact on the top lane, and our team is up a bunch of gold pretty much due to our roams and our plays. And Jhin falls behind, but again, Jhin, you can see, this is what he can do. He can ult the wave, and he can stop from, losing a bunch. And he's also a champion who can play from behind. Like, he has CC and utility regardless. So he's, again, a champion we can put behind, and we're okay with that in order to get a Fiora top lane super ahead, and obviously kind of stifle the enemy jungler's plays. So, and then we come right back and we immediately blow the Senna Flash. Twisted Fate ults in, and again, we want to make sure we're looking to continue to make more and more plays with our stronger people, which are pretty much everyone not named Jhin now. So when you do these types of roams and they work out, you don't want to spend all of the rest of your time once you come back to, or you don't want to spend it with your ADC. You want to help your ADC push the wave like I did there. Here I'm looking to help push him, but I'm like, hey, he's got it. He's not in any danger. And then we want to leave and go somewhere else. So we end up hooking or lanterning our teammate. It doesn't really matter that I missed the ult or the first ability. It just matters that we get our teammates there and we have the CC chain, because again, Twisted Fate, Vi, and Thresh, they're all going to be able to make plays together super well. And then even here, we're continuing to push because we know how good we are at making picks as a team. I hit neither of these hooks, and yet I'm still having an insane impact just because, again, my lantern, my ability to tank, calling these plays for my team, and we get mid turret and bot turret taken pretty much solely because of our roams. They weren't even in like huge advantages, and we're just able to completely snowball the game. And this is why you can see it's just such an impactful game when there's nothing to do. And then here we even lantern our teammate. We hook the minion, lantern our teammate to Brand, and we're able to get a pick onto Brand as well. So you can just see constantly aware of these, finding these picks with this comp. Again, amazing comp for Thresh to play with. And yeah, we just have an insane amount of impact. We already have 8 kill participation in 5.5 minutes, and our team is hard snowballing through that early game. So again, the rest of this game, I don't even play that well, but our team is so far ahead that it doesn't really matter that I make mistakes. I mean, of course I shouldn't have made the mistakes, but you can just see how much impact you can have early game. Again, the main things we were looking for is determining, okay, first, can we roam, which is looking at our own laner, which again, and here you see I do the same thing to Brand again, but my teammate doesn't gold card for some reason. You're going to see a couple times he doesn't gold card, I don't know why. But again, regardless, some of the main things we're looking at for the early game is our teammate safe enough, which basically means does he have good wave clear, good range, mobility, and how good are the enemy at diving. So again, Vayne and Senna not good at diving. Draven, Alistar very good at diving. And then just making plays around the map with our team in situations where it makes sense. So if we see that the enemy, again, have a stacked wave on them, like Fiora had that big stacked wave in the level advantage, we want to make sure we take advantage of that wave state. So using the wave state, our teammates kind of condition in the lane, and also playing around our teammates who have ways to make plays with us. So again, I made that one play around Fiora because of the stacked wave, but you see I haven't spent all my time around Fiora. I've spent my time around Twisted Fate, Vi, because those are the champions I can make plays with and follow up on their CC with, whereas Fiora doesn't really have gank set up. And you can see my Twisted Fate and Vi, they continue to make some good plays together. It's definitely a really good utilization of this comp overall from our team, allowing us to continue to snowball. And all we want to do is, again, just make sure the waves are pushed and then help our team get vision on different parts of the map, continue to look for picks, and just use our advantage to continue snowballing. But we don't want to overextend, obviously, when our teammates are not up, right? Like right now, Jin's recalled, Twisted Fate's pretty far away, and so we just want to be in a position where like we can lantern the Vi out, we can maybe look for a pick on Lee, but realistically, we're not going to kill this Lee. We do get his flash though, and again, we just constantly have this pressure because of all the picks that we're looking for with that Vi. And I have my lantern, I have my flash, so if anything does go wrong, we're kind of fine with it. Because that's also like, you want to make sure you're taking the more risky plays when you do have this additional mobility and these additional defensive spells up. So when you have if you're a stasis builder, or when you have whatever else. And you can see again just the lantern usage, just constantly bringing the Twisted Fate. He had some weird target priority and some weird cards overall, but we still blow a flash nonetheless, and we're just constantly making these plays. And every time we get an enemy cooldown out, it just serves a purpose later. Like if the enemy don't have flash, we have 2 or 3, well, it's 2.5 minutes. I think it's 150-second cooldown. We have 150 seconds where we can look for a pick on whoever we want, whenever we want, and they can't really punish as hard. Brand, you know, for example, he could live there if he doesn't have flash. I believe we blew his flash earlier. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't really remember specifically, but those type of situations, if the enemy doesn't have flash. And then the fact that we're looking for so many picks and applying so much pressure allows Fiora to very nicely continue to have pressure on the other side of the map. So we kind of have this mid-jungle support trio making a bunch of plays, making a bunch of picks throughout this entire game. And then we have the Fiora on the side lane very nicely, and the Jhin just being not useless, just clearing waves for the most part. And that's kind of how this game ends up going. Again, there's some mistakes for me. Definitely get caught a couple times when I shouldn't, but because we're stronger, doesn't matter, as you'll kind of see. And yeah, so at this point now we're in the mid game and we're continuing to just look around to make plays with those same teammates. So if we see Twisted Fate looking for something, we're going to try to see if we can follow up. We're going to see if we can lantern people there and just make sure we constantly have control of the map. Twisted Fate does a good job even when he realizes he can't actually get any value from that ult. He just ults to the mid wave to get prior right away. We lantern him to the next wave to continue to look for picks on other people and just constantly have this pressure, like making it hard for the enemy jungle to even farm his jungle is just overall really good for us, of course. An Infernal map is definitely nice for doing these types of things as well, because it allows you to kind of constantly invade. And we just always have information of the jungler. Like when we're looking here, I'm not necessarily trying to steal his blue buff because my Vi's not here, but I want to know where the Lee Sin is. And then when I know where Lee Sin is, it makes it easier to make these types of plays on the brand, for example, because we kind of know we're going to be in an okay spot. Now, realistically, I feel like my teammates could have followed up there. They don't, and so it doesn't work out as well. Unfortunately, I try to predict his dash, but then my Twisted Fate stuns him, and so this is where you see like some things don't go perfectly, you know, some mistakes there, some bad coordination. And luckily, because my team is strong, the fight doesn't go super poorly, and this is kind of what I meant by the earlier statement, even when we end up kind of overextending a little bit. But as I said, we kind of knew Lee Sin was there. We knew we had a brief window where we could find a pick, and in my opinion, we could have, but it is what it is, you know, it's not a big deal. Especially because looking for those types of picks is not super high risk due to the fact that there's no Baron or anything. So if you do look for those picks and you make a mistake once or twice, you're not going to lose the game off it. But the time where you are going to lose the game is when you overextend around a Baron or something and your teammates die afterwards. That's kind of when you really lose games. So people will often, and myself included, they'll get really frustrated when they play well for an entire game and then they lose out of nowhere. I've actually had, yesterday I had, and the day before I had like a million throws where I would have 10k gold leads and then my team would lose, and definitely was very tilting. But a lot of times that's due to making one mistake at a more important time. Whereas again, you can make multiple mistakes earlier on in the game, but if you're making those mistakes at really key crucial points in the game, that's when it's going to be an issue. And then here again, we just know we have complete control of the bush, so my team can start the Baron. And once we wait till Fiora gets that side lane pressure, as you see on that turret pressuring the inhib. And then we use that to take the Baron. I'm here, like, I don't really care if I die. I'm just looking to make sure they don't get Baron. So all I did is I'm walking up there, make sure they don't get Baron. Totally fine with that death. That death is fine 100 times out of 100. And my team is strong enough, again, that they're not really in a super problematic situation. And even if it does go not perfect, where Jhin gets caught, for example, Fiora has side lane pressure. So she's getting inhib as they try to overforce here. That's why I didn't really expect all of them to be there, because Fiora, like, oh, Fiora's going to draw someone. For some reason, no one goes to Fiora, and yeah, they killed me, but it doesn't matter. Jhin and Thresh being the dead ones when our fed people are everyone who's not named Jhin or Thresh is obviously totally fine with us. We get that Baron, and that just continues to allow us to have the pressure on the map, and you're kind of just going to see that throughout the game continue to exist, just all that pressure. I'm just messing with the Lee Sin, literally just make his game as hard as possible, make him use a random cooldown like a kick, and him using the kick means that we can, again, just find the free kill on him like that. So just understanding, again, this kind of concept of tempo, like when it is your turn to make a play, again, we get the nice little pick there, and we just make overall good plays with our team. But understanding, again, it was our turn because we had Baron, also pretty nice hook there. We had Baron, and because we have the Baron, it's pretty easy to end up making, you know, making a play, because if I do die for whatever reason, we get pressure on the rest of the map, and obviously, if I don't die, we're able to do something like that and just straight up end the game off the Baron. So it's a lot riskier for the enemy to fight, because if they lose a fight, they pretty much lose the game because we have Baron. So as you saw there, it's a really smooth game. Couple mistakes getting caught, but overall just one of the most impactful early games you'll really ever see someone have on support. And we use that to snowball very effectively and end up winning the game. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you guys learned a thing or two from the video, and I'll see you in the next one.